So you love podcasts and you want to listen to more amazing content, but you have no idea what to listen to. And your friends keep telling you about great episodes, yet you can never remember what they told you. Well, here's the answer. Good Pods. It's the social app dedicated to podcasts, where your friends, podcast listeners, and favorite podcast hosts all come together to share on their feed what they recommend and what they listen to. You can connect to others, bookmark episodes, start a conversation about the episode, connect to the hosts, and most importantly, listen to great podcasts right in the Good Pods app. Download Good Pods wherever you get your apps and start sharing with a community that loves to listen. Good Pods. It's where to connect and listen.
Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have the Senior Vice President of NCR Hospitality. He is responsible for developing solutions that run the restaurant from end to end, and he is focused on delivering the next generation software, hardware, and services that delivers on what customers want when they want it. He is intimately involved in a unique program to get frontline entrepreneurs closer to funding in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, as it is so important to keep commerce running during these difficult times. Thrive Loud listeners, Dirk Izzo. Dirk, how are you today?
Hey, Lou, fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Dirk, we're in unique times, aren't we, my friend? Yeah. And you are sitting in a very interesting spot. I think for those of us, we are recording this on April 10th. And we're airing this a couple of days afterwards. On its launch date for those listening will be April 12th of 2020. And in the midst of COVID-19 here in the East Coast in New York, and there's probably been no industry hit harder than the hospitality and restaurant industry. Can you, to start things off, give us a little bit of just the scope of what you've been seeing from your seat at this particular point in time since the shutdown has taken place?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Before I jump in, though, I just want to say I hope you, your family, and all your listeners are safe during this crazy pandemic. Hopefully it hasn't impacted anybody that's listening to this, because it is a crazy time for us.
Yeah. No, I think unfortunately, I think it's impacted everyone in some form or fashion. But at that point, thank you for those wishes, though.
Yeah. So we at NCR, I'll tell you a little bit about the hospitality industry, but before, let me just describe something for you quickly. Our focus right now in the midst of this pandemic is to keep commerce running. So we have a relatively large company, and we have 15,000 individuals across the globe that are systems engineers, and they're out there fixing ATMs, helping grocers and mass merchandisers like Walmart keep their self-service checkouts running so people can actually get food. And they're out there helping the restaurants stay open where they can actually leverage their drive-thrus or takeout. So I just want to give a shout out to those folks that are working day in and day out with masks, with alcohol swabs and gloves on to make sure that they keep commerce running. So that's just really important to me.
Excellent.
You'd asked me, Lou, about the state of the industry and what we're seeing. So we have about 85,000 sites globally that we service from a hospitality perspective. There's table service sites. These are the ones where we all sit down, somebody comes over and takes their orders. And then there's the quick service ones like the McDonald's and the Chick-fil-A's and places like that. We're seeing table service being hit pretty hard, especially as governments have come out and said, you can't dine in. So we see sales down quite a bit there, up to 80% in some cases. And then on the quick service side, we're seeing about 40%, because a lot of people are able to pick up quite a bit with the drive-through and still keep the business rolling. And obviously it's different from segment to segment and company to company. But we are seeing those businesses kind of in those two buckets from a financial perspective, or from an orders perspective, so to speak.
Dirk, in this range of what's going on, obviously, let me ask you personally, when they moved, and I live in the New York area, when they moved to a complete shutdown and you started to see there were places that were voluntarily closing beforehand, but then obviously it was becoming mandated thereafter. Can you share your mood and what was going on in internally at NCR, but also how you guys were thinking about the initial shock of the faucet being turned off, if you would, for the flow of commerce, specifically in the hospitality space?
Yeah, so we started, this all happened very quickly, obviously. We were tracking China, and then it just spread so rapidly across the globe. The first and foremost thing we're focused on is our employees and keeping our employees safe. And so we put a bunch of measures in place to help protect our employees and make sure that they were safe, because if our employees are safe, we can do a better job in taking care of our customers. If we flip to the customer side, I would say there's a couple things that we did very quickly to help our customers. The first was for any table service restaurant out there, the ones that were really hit pretty hard, we offered for free to stand them up with a web presence. And we had 600 customers come back and say, yes, please help. And so we're going through the process of getting those out of the backlog and getting those customers stood up with an online presence. And we're not just doing that, but we're also taking a step further, where we're taking some of our marketing team's expertise and helping them understand the best practice around marketing to their customers, marketing to loyalty customers, how to actually fulfill on the demand behind the scenes. So real happy about some of the stuff we're doing to help customers with the online side of their business. The second thing we're doing is around relief. So we have customers that are hard down. And we're hearing stats out there where 15% of the restaurants, specifically small restaurants, have closed for good. And so clearly those customers aren't going to pay any money. But the other customers that are out there, because we're a global company, we have very large customers that are still doing quite fine with their drive-thrus and online ordering. And then we have others that are actually hard down. And we're working with each customer individually to provide a relief package to them that's going to really suit their needs and help them. And then you mentioned early on kind of the SBA and the Triple P plan and what's happening with that. It's been a confusing time for people. I think it's all unfolding very rapidly as Congress and the House and our president have all taken actions and steps to try to provide relief to people. However, it's been extremely confusing to our customers, specifically small customers. And so what we did is some of the mid-tier customers and larger customers clearly have great relationships with banks. They've gotten back in front of their banks and they're applying for this relief fund if they're under 500 employees. But the small ones needed help. And so we reached out to a company called Nimbus and formed a very unique partnership. We have no economic gain to this at all, right? This is not about making money. This is about helping our customers stay in business and figure out how to get success out of this whole challenging times. And so what Nimbus does is they help a customer apply for the loan. They've got a set of skilled resources that'll talk them through the process, which we know is always changing and difficult to navigate, and help them go through that whole PPP process to get the loan, and then obviously get forgiveness for that loan. And it's been a great partnership so far.
I wish I had Nimbus in the industry I'm in, because we had to deal with that stress earlier this week of filling it out, which actually brings me to this particular point. Has there been a well-received reaction from your customers, the merchants and the restaurant owners, of this service offering? Have you had exposure to their reaction to having this resource for themselves?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's been unbelievable. So we've had customers calling back saying, hey, thanks very much for thinking of us. We have it under control, meaning they're working with their banks, which is absolutely fantastic. We've had some people that are second and third generation restaurateurs where the business has been passed down. And we had one lady that we talked to was nearly in tears saying, I had no idea how to do this. I can't thank you enough, NCR, for leaning in and helping me with this process. So we're just delighted to be able to help. And again, this is just, at the end of the day, we win by our customers being able to stay in business, because that's our livelihood. So we want to do everything we can to help them.
It's really funny, Dirk. One of the things that we've been preaching this week and these last few weeks about the pandemic here on Thrive Loud is we look for those that are thriving in their lives, their businesses, and their passions. And we love these stories that businesses are redirecting their focus, not just worrying about, oh my God, where's the next dollar going to come from? It's actually how I can help. And I think this is the mindset that is to be commended, and kudos to you for leading this initiative with this. I wanted to ask your perspective. Now, timing is a problem, right? I mean, just think about this. Are the owners of the restaurants, as patrons, concerned of reopening the doors? Are they having conversations with you to say, look, we know we just want to get back to normal, and we know there might not be a new normal? So your personal 2 cents on this, on what you're seeing and what you think is going to happen within the space over the next few months.
Yeah, I think the new norm is going to be a lot different than the norm that we're used to. So I'll share with you some stats, some high level stats, and then I'll give you my opinion on what I think is going to happen.
Great.
We have customers that are online customers for a long period of time as a supplement to their core dine-in restaurant experience. One customer, I won't mention a name, at Super Bowl did 28,000 orders, and that was a record, right? Massive number, because they were normally around 10,000 orders a weekend on a Saturday or Friday night, and on Super Bowl, 28,000 orders. Phenomenal, right? And we all celebrated that. Just to put it in perspective, last night they did over 150,000 orders.
Oh my goodness! Wow!
And so it's quite a big jump up, and we're seeing it's not just on the weekends anymore, right? It's all week long that people are doing this, because people still have this desire to eat out, and still, when I say eat out, consume food that was prepared for them. And we're seeing we're seeing it skyrocket. What I think that's going to do to the new norm is, I think that it's going to take people some time to get comfortable with going back out to a restaurant and sitting next to folks that may cough, may sneeze. I think they're going to be very, very concerned about that. I think the new norm is going to be a lot more people are going to be ordering food to go. So I think that this spike will stay up. And I think over time, slowly, as people become more comfortable, they'll head back out to restaurants. And I think that's going to be the case across the board. And that, quite frankly, is one of the reasons why we're so focused on helping customers set up an online presence. Because I think that'll be a big part of the new norm as we go forward.
You were mentioning that you usually see the kick up in revenue on the weekends. I think, unfortunately, in the world we're in right now, we can't distinguish a weekday from a weekend, because we're all stuck at home and all these days that are there. That might be the reason why a Tuesday might as well be a Friday night.
It's so true.
From an operational point of view, let's just talk about this from the seat that you sit in, because obviously you have always trying to provide the next generation of technology to your clients. Have you guys been, because of this incident, rethinking maybe new ways to upgrade and even improve or enhance your technology for your clients?
Absolutely. I've gone back to my team and said, we have to take a pause and rethink about this, because as we come out of it, the new norm is going to be a lot different. So what should we be doing differently, and what products are going to be required by our customers to help support their new norm? So we're just at the start of thinking through that. But I think online ordering, I think delivery, I think pickup are all going to be really, really important in the next generation of the restaurant environment.
Let's do this right now. Let's do a little bit of the admin part of the show here. This is the part where we get to share with our listeners all the places where people can learn about these programs that NCR is putting together. We will put it all in the show notes, but it always comes better from you. You can even just speak to it. I'll go look for the URL as you're giving me information here. So where are places that people can find and learn information about this program and the stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, we've tried to make it real easy. So if people go to ncr.com and click on the hospitality link, there's a bunch of information out there about how you can actually get access to online ordering, how you can get help in marketing online ordering. We have a whole bunch of resources we put out there. And then on the relief plan, we have a direct link to the relief plan. So all the FAQs that people have been asking, we've posted out there to try to help people understand the process, and a direct link to the application so they can apply and get help from Nimbus.
I got it. And for the listeners out here, I'm looking at it. It's ncr.com/coronavirus/Nimbus, NYMBUS-SMB-relief. And we'll put that in the show notes for everybody to have that. So first of all, thank you for all of this, Dirk. It's acts like this that kind of make people feel good. And that story about the restaurateur, almost breaking down, being thankful to help with this is wonderful. As we start to move forward, I guess I'd love to know your thoughts on what are things that, if I'm the restaurateur in the hospitality space, what are the questions I should be asking myself if I'm trying to make that decision on moving forward? And you would have that seat from understanding the operational aspect of this, because maybe you have a bigger understanding of the timeline, or maybe rethinking your business plan. Those are things that you're thinking about at this point and could communicate to a restaurateur or entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to relate it back to China, because that's something that's coming online right now. Being a global company, we get to see some of these things. So between 2 and 2.5 months of quarantine is what it took to kind of get China through the bubble, I'll call it, to where they were opening back up stores, and they're taking very proactive measures in a lot of cities where they're actually testing people's temperature as they enter. They're putting employee safety measures in place around how to actually protect yourselves with gloves, with masks, with cleaning supplies and things along those lines. What we've done is we've started to look at that, and we said not only the learnings from that in our group of CEs over there, but as a restaurant decides to open back up, what can we do proactively as a company to help them? Because when they open their doors, the last thing they want to worry about is things working. The technology has to work flawlessly. And so we've created what I'm calling a sunrise service, which is the ability for us, when they're ready to open, we'll actually remote into their site. We'll check everything. If we need to send an SE out to help them and to fix something, we will do that. That's on our dime, because we want to make sure they're up and running. And we just think that's really important. So when their first customer comes in and they service that customer and they want to take a payment, that they can take that payment without any issues.
That's great. Dirk, our permission to start heading down Fun Street and learn a little bit more about you here, because obviously you've been knee deep in the woods and really a real stressful environment. So we want to make you smile a little bit here today as we're recording this. First of all, do you have an all-time favorite movie that you like?
So I'm a 60s child, so born in the 60s. So growing up in high school, Top Gun was my top, and ironically enough, when you mentioned that, I watched it just a couple nights ago. My wife rolled her eyes and said, "Why are you watching this thing again?" But I just love the movie. So
we'll have to loop you over to the Rewatchables podcast hosted by Bill Simmons. He's big on going back and watching movies. Only guys around we're about the same age can understand it. We just could turn it on anytime.
There you go.
I love asking guests this question, and on days when you're not kicking on all cylinders, which a lot of people are, what practice do you seek, or what individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Yeah, so I would tell you, I'll share with you a practice. So I'm a competitive athlete, I would say that, and not so much anymore, but I really thrived on that. So I really enjoy exercising quite a bit. I've done Ironmans, marathons. I've done a bunch of different events, and that's just something that allows me to get back to center myself. So being quarantined has made that a little bit tough, but I still get out there and walk or run and get on the bike here in the apartment. But trying to stay fit during this time helps me keep centered and creates energy for myself and then hopefully the team around me.
Dirk, I'll let you know that I have a neighbor who is like you and runs marathons. And I'm kidding you not. He's running around his house. It's the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. I don't know how many laps he's done, but he literally is running around his house every day. I give him credit for that. I go, there's treadmills too he could use, but I guess he likes to.
So Lou, I don't have a big enough house to do that, but I will tell you, I wear my Apple Watch religiously. And I want to always achieve a certain number of calories or steps. And there's been many an evening where I'm doing jumping jacks in my bedroom. My wife is just looking at me like I'm crazy. But you have to have objectives and goals every day, right? Very,
very true. Dirk, to sign us off here, let's give a message to those that are out there. You're doing good at a whole new level here, which is really, and your organization and the culture of where you're at is really trying to help those in need. If you were to give a pep talk or a message to your customer base or to any of the listeners out there that are concerned about this particular space, just throw out a message that you would recommend or advice maybe you can give to our listeners here.
Yeah, I guess first and foremost, stay safe. Be careful out there. It's crazy. When you're ready to open up your restaurant, lean on us. We're here to help. So we did put together the Sunrise program. We have a lot of great experiences as this is cascaded across the globe and a lot of learnings out there that we're leveraging. And our goal is to keep commerce running across all three of our industries, not just hospitality. And anything we can do to help our customer base keep commerce running is is a positive thing from my perspective.
And Dirk, I couldn't agree with you more. I wanted to thank you for coming on the program today. Hopefully this wasn't too painful and you had a lot of fun and you delivered a great message. We really thank you for what you guys are doing.
Lou, thank you. It's really important to do this type of stuff, especially with the pandemic. So Thank you very much for having me.
You got it. Our pleasure. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.